to this webinar. This is Brendan Hunt. I am an Associate Program Director at the Episcopal Church Foundation. Uh, Delighted that you're taking this hour out of your busy schedules to be a part of this webinar, learning about communicating general this coming summer. I am joined by my colleagues Neva Ray-Fox, Rebecca McDonald, and Nancy Davidge, and here in the offices of the Episcopal Church Center in New York City. And a bunch of folks have already been introducing themselves in the chat box on the lower right-hand side of the screen. If you haven't done so already, please do so. But again, welcome. We're delighted that you're real quickly, for those who may not be familiar with the Episcopal Church Foundation, we're delighted to have you with us. I just want to give you a quick overview that the Episcopal Church Foundation, also known as ECF, provides comprehensive and innovative services for financial leadership, strategic resources for Episcopal congregations, dioceses, and other organizations such as camps and conference centers, charities, etc. We provide these services through a variety of programs, including ECF Vital Practices, which I work on with my colleague Nancy Davidge, the Fellowship Partners Program for innovative scholars and ministry leaders throughout the Episcopal Church, financial service via capital campaigns, endowment management services, and giving offerings, and through one of, I feel, our most important offerings, which is through online and in-education offerings such as this webinar here today that we offer for free. So if you haven't before, I encourage you to check out our website, resources on ECF Vital Practices. Before we get started, I also want to just go over some technical notes. If you're here a little bit early, you may have heard some garbled noise, and so we had to put all participants on mute, which is the case when we get a larger attendance like this. That's just to cut down on the audio interference. Please take advantage of the chat box on the lower right-hand side of the screen. We will be monitoring this chat box throughout the webinar to make sure that your questions are addressed, and we'll be paying attention to your comments to make sure that we can make sure that Neva and Nancy get around to your questions and can respond to your comments as well. If you haven't already, we'd also encourage you to using your webcam. We'll flip back to some discussion. It's really great to have everyone on the screen. You can do that by pressing the webcam button and then start sharing. PDFs are available, resource sheet rather, and the slides are on the left-hand side of your screen now in the box. If you want to click on either, you can download them right now to follow along. We will also be sending a copy of slides and resource sheet to all participants who are signed up for this webinar in an email, as well as a recording webinar that we will be providing on ECF Vital Practices. And with that in mind, we are recording this to make this publicly available, so please bear that in mind with any questions or comments that you may be sharing this afternoon. We are so delighted to be able to partner with the Domestic and Foreign Missionary Society's Office of Public Affairs to bring you this webinar, and further so delighted that Neva Ray-Fox is one of our presenters this afternoon. Neva, you should know, is the Public Affairs Officer for the Domestic and Foreign Missionary Society. If you don't receive her emails, be sure to sign up. Tons of great information that you need to be getting, especially if you're working in any communications position in the Episcopal Church. She has received many awards, including Polybonds with Episcopal Communicators, and has a wealth of experience in Episcopal communications through diocesan work and through private work with her own communications company, the Fox Group. She is a very active member of her congregation. Check out her most recent article on senior wardens on vestry papers, for some great info for that. And we are just so glad that she's here to be able to help us be able to inwardly digest and communicate General Convention. She is joined with my colleague at ECF, Nancy Davidge, who is the editor of ECF Vital Practices. She is the immediate past president of Episcopal Communicators and also brings a wealth of communications experience, having come from Episcopal Divinity School, and prior to that in various nonprofit and for-profit positions, including Girl Scouts of America. Her number one takeaway that you can see on the screen that she likes to share is to always remember your audience. So before we get started, I just want to start us off with a little bit of prayer.
Thank you, Brendan. Let us pray. Almighty and everlasting God, source of all wisdom and understanding, be present with those who take counsel in the General Convention of the Episcopal Church for the renewal and mission of your church. Teach us in all things to seek first your honor and glory. Guide us to perceive what is right, and grant us both the courage to pursue it and the grace to accomplish it. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Now, as we dive in, I'd like us to start with a poll. And if you've been on our webinars before, you know that we poll throughout, and this one's going to be no different. This really helps us to understand a little bit more about your experience with General Convention. I see people are already checking off what fits for them, and you can mark more than one. So chances are, if you've attended a General Convention, perhaps you also attended the 2006 one. And I'm going to see, is there anybody left who hasn't voted yet? Okay, Neva, you take it away.
Thank you so much, and thank you for letting us know. 2 of you have never attended a General Convention. 10 have attended as a member of the media, and 5 of us were around when Presiding Bishop Catherine was elected. So thank you for this. And I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be working with my friends whose offices are 2 stories up from here. We're going to have a party called the 76th General Convention of the Episcopal Church. And I want to point out that it is the 78th, I keep saying 76, the 78th General Convention. It is officially from June 25th to July 3rd. Now, as you well know, if you've covered General Conventions before, you know that there is stuff that happens before as well. So the official first date is June 25th. It's being held at the Salt Palace Convention Center, not the Salt Lake Palace, not the Salt Lake City Palace, the Salt Palace Convention Center, which is a beautiful facility. I think it's going to be very, very relaxing for us, and it's right in the center of the city. It's very nice. It's in the middle of Salt Lake City, which is in the Diocese of Utah. A few things that I know you already know, but it doesn't hurt to go over again. This is, we are the bicameral governing body of the church. We have 2 houses, the House of Bishops, upwards of 200 active and retired bishops, and the House of Deputies, that has clergy and lay deputies elected from 108 dioceses and 3 regional areas of the Episcopal Church at more than 800 members. Please note that it's 108 dioceses. We were 109, but Quincy is now back with the Diocese of Chicago. So we are 108 dioceses and 3 regional areas. The Blue Book. The Blue Book is available online. Now, there will be ways that you can buy a printed version, but The Blue Book, and you'll be getting a release from me shortly, indicating that everything that is supposed to be in the Blue Book is in it. It is downloadable at no fee, and the nice thing is you can download whatever pieces you want. You don't have to download the whole thing, or you could download the whole thing if you want. You've heard us talk about it being a convention of screens. There are efforts to make General Convention as paperless as possible and to reduce the reliance on paper copies. This is also going to improve legislative efficiencies. And what this is going to do for us is, since everything's going to be online, for those of you who will be joining us from afar and those of us who will be right there, everything is going to be at our fingertips. And I think that is just wonderful. It's very, very exciting. I also want to point out that the triennial meeting of the Episcopal Church women go on at the same time. And they will also be in the Salt Palace Convention Center. Everything is in the Salt Palace. It's huge. It's just huge. One of our polls should have been if you've ever been there. It is big, it is huge, and we'll be able to keep everything in one spot. Nancy, I think you're going next.
Yeah, so,
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's my turn. I messed up. I'm sorry. We have 3 kinds of media credentials. One, of course, is on-site, and that will be for those who will be attending General Convention, whether full or partial. The other is off-site. What we have discovered, we did this last time as well, what we discovered is that there are a number of people, whether it's for budgetary or time-wise, just simply cannot make it to General Convention. And let's be honest, it's 2 weeks in the middle of summer, and that's difficult for some. So what we established were off-site credentials in which we will assist you off-site in getting all the news that you're going to need. And there's also the combo of on-site or off-site. I wanted to point out that we've got for the on-site and off-site, Lisa Webb, who I believe is on this seminar right now, and myself will be available to you, along with a host of volunteers that include some former AP people, so they're really going to be helpful. For the off-site people, we have a volunteer who will be designated to help you, and that person is someone known to you all, Kay Collier McLaughlin. This will not be Kay's first, second, third, or fourth General Convention. She has always been a member of the media, and now she truly understands what it is that congregations and diocesan organizations will be needing and wanting in off-site coverage. So Kay will be the person to give you a hand with that. The combo, of course, is just what it sounds like. Also, because of budget, we understand that not everybody can make it, and the bulk of people seem to be coming over the weekend. So if you can only come for a short amount of time, I highly recommend that you apply for both on-site and off-site. The reason why is that helps us keep track of who's on-site and who isn't on-site at any given time.
so now I'd like to have our second poll, where if you would share with us which of these 3 options is the one that you'll be utilizing to cover General Convention. Okay, they haven't moved for a bit, so Neva, back to you.
That's great. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate you letting me know how many on our webinar are going to be off-site. There's still plenty of time to put in your credentials. There is no cut-off date for credentials. If you end up being a walk-in, we will take care of you. We will be able to accommodate you in any way that we can. I'm really very excited about the off-site. I'm excited about the number of people who will be utilizing the off-site media, and I'm really excited about Kay giving us a hand with these things. Now, because we are going to be paperless, these things are going to be very, very helpful. I'm going to point you, first of all, to the Media Hub. And the Media Hub, the link of this webinar, excuse me. The Media Hub is going to have the live feeds from both houses. It's going to have daily briefings. Now, as I've done in the past, we will have daily briefings at the end of business day. That time is going to change because the end of business day changes every day. We are starting the daily briefings on June 24th, which is the day before we actually open General Convention. The daily briefings will include representatives from the House of Bishops and from the House of Delegates. You will be able to email questions in. You can watch this while you're sitting at home, no matter what time of day it is, wherever you might be. That's a reminder to me to tell you that we will be on Mountain Time. Everything is Mountain Time. And you'll be able to take a look, see who is saying what, and if you have questions, you'll be able to email them in to us or text in to us. As I indicated, Media Hub is going to have the live feeds from both houses. The Media Hub will also have, it will be live streaming all of the worship services of the Community Eucharist. And I previously released who the presiders and the presenters are, the preachers. If you want, and if you don't remember, you might consider checking the public affairs pages of the Episcopal Church website where we have the whole list, or just email me and I'll send it to you again.
Now, we had a question pop up from two people had that saying that they're primarily attending as a deputy, sharing some information on the diocesan site and perhaps elsewhere, and didn't know that they need media credentials.
Normally our practice has been that if you are a deputy or an alternate or a bishop, that we don't have media credentials for you. Now, we'll say that there have been one or two special circumstances based on budget or whatnot. So if you'd like to contact me privately, we can talk about this. But normally deputies and alternates are not, and vendors do not receive media credentials. But I'm willing to talk. So give me a call or email me and we'll set up a time to talk.
Great, thank you.
Of course. I also want to make sure that you're aware of the Episcopal News Service. Now, Episcopal News Service has already started its coverage of General Convention. If you look at the top part of their website in the menu, you'll see 78th General Convention. And that's a good place to find out what has already been published about General Convention. The news service is going to be presenting a number of advance articles about the different issues that are going to be coming up. So keep your eye on Episcopal. They will be very helpful to you. There's also the news reports from other organizations. I want to point out that hashtag GC78. You might also consider, we're going to be having Flickr. So we'll be having all of these available to you. You will have the Media Hub. You'll have access to the daily briefings from the newsroom. You will have access to the live feeds of both houses. Have access to the reports that are coming out. There's a question, will an embedded code for the live feed be available so we can share it directly on our website? Or will we only be able to link to the feed? I'm not sure. I think there's an embedded code. Tell you what, I'll get back to you on that one. Thank you for that question. It's a very good question. And I don't know the answer. I'm being honest. All right. Nancy, did you have another poll that you were going to do?
Yes, so this is our last poll, and again, this is helpful for us in terms of knowing how people are going to be covering it, is who you're representing. So again, if you're a diocese, a congregation, an organization. Oh, the numbers are still changing.
No, it's great.
Okay, I think we're done.
More than half of you are from a diocese. A quarter of you are from a congregation, and the rest are from an organization or an institution, and this is great. I am so very gratified to see the interest of congregants into what's happening at General Convention, so thank you. There are different ways that you can engage, especially if you are off-site. And the first thing is engaging with your deputation. Now, some of you mentioned that you are deputies. I know most dioceses have already had deputations begin to talk. In fact, my own personal diocese now has the big dinner send-off going on. You know, I would recommend that you contact your deputation and you contact your bishop and say, okay, we are going to be here at home. We're covering it off-site. We want to find out what's interesting to you. feedback to us. You might consider finding out what committees they're on. You might consider finding out if there's any kind of legislation that they have sponsored. You might consider finding out if they are planning to make any kind of a statement or do any kind of thing. When we get a little later on with the different events that are coming up, these are things that you should be asking your deputation or your bishop, are you going to be participating in? They would be great for photos, for your Facebook page. Find out who of your deputation is going to be posting on Facebook, who's going to be writing for you. You can get a conglomerate of everything and put everything in one spot, and that's a good way of being afar but also covering it from there. And of course you can engage with me, with Lisa, with Kay, and with our volunteers. The purpose of the offsite is to make sure that you have a phone call, a text, or an email where if you need something, we are on the other end and we will be giving you a hand in order to find out. Now, what could we be talking about? Maybe you want to have a comment from somebody or have a question for somebody that you want to do for your publication or for your Facebook page or whatever. Give us a call and we'll do what we can to give you a hand in ascertaining all of it. Nancy, I think I'm giving it to you now. Yes?
Okay, yes.
Oh, sorry, I got one more.
I'm going to talk first.
I want you to know we practiced this. Okay, we did practice. I wanted to point out here a couple of the topics that you know are going to be coming up. And the first one I want to talk about is, of course, the election of the 27th presiding bishop. Please note that Bishop Catherine is the 26th, and we will be electing the 27th presiding bishop. There are 4 nominees, and there was a recent release that indicated there are no nominees from the floor. So we have 4 nominees. Bishop Curry from Carolina, Bishop Bridenthal from Southern Ohio, Bishop Douglas from Connecticut, and Bishop Smith from Southwest Florida. The election is going to be taking place at St. Mark's Cathedral and within the context of prayer. There was a release that went out that explained what the process is. Now, following the confirmation by the House of Deputies and the introduction of the new presiding bishop to the House of Deputies, we will be having a news video conference after that. It's not going to be immediately after that. Of course, everything is going to depend on time, how many ballots it may take, how much time they're going to spend in the cathedral. That's the kind of thing that will be on the Media Hub, but that what I will do is I will email you or text you and let you know when that's going to be. There's no sense in trying to say when it's going to be because we have absolutely no idea. But I also want to make another point very clear, and I've needed to correct a couple people in this. Presiding Bishop Catherine Jeffords Schori's term does not end until November 1st. Just because she is being elected on, new presiding bishop is being elected on June 27th, that does not mean that she leaves office immediately. There's been a lot of misconception about that, so please keep in mind. If you see her calendar, you'll see that she's continuing with a lot of mission and ministry straight up through November. So it's November 1st that the 27th presiding bishop will assume the office. Until then, it's Bishop Catherine. If you have any questions about the presiding bishop, please let me know. About the election, there are videos, there are photos, all kinds of information available on the General Convention website. I ask that you keep them in your prayers, as I have. TREC and restructuring. I was talking to a friend of mine around here that last week, and I actually was able to go to a party that when I said TREC, my friends went like this, which was great, and probably know exactly what I mean. TREC is going to be talking about the restructuring of the church, of the governance side of the church. There's a misconception out there that TREC is also addressing the liturgical side. It is not. This is about the governance. Another hot topic is going to be the budget. And I want to point out that the budget is based on the 5 marks of mission. Now, that was introduced by the presiding bishop at the last convention, 2012, in Indianapolis, where the budget for the triennium has just been refocused to talk about where all the funding is going in connection with the 5 marks of mission. I personally, as a person in the pew, think it's great because you can really see where we're talking about mission and ministry and the funding of it. So I think that's great. The Marriage Task Force has also generated a lot of interest. So there'll be a presentation, more information. The best bet for about the Marriage Task Force is to go up to the Blue Book and to click on their report so you can get an overview of what it is exactly that they are talking about. That might be something that your deputation will also have comment about, because it has just generated a lot of discussion, as has the restraint. Another thing that might be coming up will be the future of this building that we're sitting in right now, 815 2nd Avenue. There's been a lot on HOB, HOD, and different blogs. I've gotten to the point where I'm kind of backing off on blogs because, overkill. Nancy.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, Neva's covered a lot.
Sorry.
Well, which is good. I mean, it's 2 weeks. There's a lot that's done during those 2 weeks, and it can really be mind-boggling. And so I wanted to spend a few minutes kind of talking about the question that might be on your mind, which is, how do I possibly cover all of this? And so, having been to 4 general conventions and working a lot now, as many of you know, with dioceses and congregations through the Episcopal Church Foundation, I'm going to share a few thoughts and observations. And first and foremost, and some of this may seem painfully obvious, but starting with a plan and a focus. And as Brendan mentioned in my introduction bio, really knowing what is part of the general convention that are of the most interest to your audience. When we did the poll, many of you are diocesan, so your list is going to be perhaps longer. If you're in a congregation, it's probably a narrow. Organizations can run the gamut. And one of the things that, well, in addition to the 5 things that Neva mentioned, I would also suggest that, you, in thinking about your audience, look at, did your diocese sponsor any resolutions? Because those would be ones that you'd want to follow.
on June 25th. Now, the Eucharists, they were referred to as community Eucharists, are 9:30 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. Mountain on every day, with the exception of 2 days. One is the UTO on and the closing, which I'll get to those when we get there. But 9:30 to 10:45, as I indicated, I've already released who the presiders and the preachers are. If you need that again, let me know. These are going to be definite legislative kind of days, and we'll go on and on and on and on. And now, on Saturday, June 27th, will be the election of the 27th presiding bishop. They're going to start with everybody together at 9:30, and from there, the bishops will be put into buses and taken over to the, and then they'll be coming back later on after the election is over and the successful nominee confirmed to be on Saturday. On Sunday, beginning at 7:15 a.m. Mountain, is the procession. It is not a march, it's a procession, claiming common ground against gun violence. There's a video that came from Canticle Communications. Right now we're talking about, last I heard, 60 bishops/deputations have signed up. This is going to be a very big thing. It's really making a stand against gun violence. Among the speakers are going to be Bishop Hayashi, and I think Bishop Lee, but I'll have to again. The reason why it's going to be that early in the morning is so that everybody can get back to the Salt Palace for the UTO gathering. UTO gathering and Eucharist begins at 10. At 8:30 a.m. At that closing Eucharist, the presiding bishop, Catherine Jeffords Schori, will be celebrating, and the PB-elect be preaching. All these things are going to be live web. July 3rd is adjournment. It is La Comedia Infinita. That is expected for 6 o'clock. The 6:30. The legislative session is for 2:30 to 6:30. I ask you that we don't go that late, but there's a distinct possibility that will always the case. There are many other things going on. I did get a question previously. June 29th is when the Integrity Eucharist is going to be. That is usually a very large event as well. I don't at this point have the ECW calendar, but we will be putting it on the calendar on the Media Hub. The Media Hub is going to have all of the calendar events, what's going on and why it's going on. Lisa Webb is the one who is inputting that, so pray for her. Out as the top thing. The draft agenda, can you see it? There we go. The draft agenda is on the website of the General Convention. When you are referring to it prior, please note that it is a draft agenda. The reason being is that the first orders of business on the first day, which is June 25th, will be the acceptance of the agenda. So they need to go into session to accept the agenda before we can call this an agenda. So it's considered a draft agenda. And that's similar for the draft budget, because it is not the official budget. It doesn't become an official budget until it's presented at the joint session for PB&F on July 1st. I want to echo what Nancy said. We have just thrown a great deal of stuff. There's a lot of information here. There are a lot of links and a lot of resources that you can check out. I thank you for all of these links and resources. But the key thing is that if you can't find it here, be sure that you just contact us. You know, that's what we're here for, to assist you, to help you, and to connect you. I'm open to any kind of questions, thoughts, anything. I'm open to your I'm going to need that. Does anybody have any questions? I see some new friends hanging on there. Hello. I see more faces. Carolyn, do you have your hand doing your finger or what?
Actually, I am seeing a question here, though, while we're figuring out what Carolyn's doing. Nancy Fausto is asking, will anyone be able to upload picture account?
I believe the answer to this is yes, but let me get back on that because I don't want to say yay or nay and not be true. So that's a good question. Thank you.
This is Solange. What's the best way at General Convention to get word of a news event? Is it Twitter or something else?
What we have been doing in the newsroom is we have been asking people on your media credentials, do you want to hear it by email or do you want to hear it by text? There'll be people who will be Twitter, but for us from the public affairs, it'll either be email and text.
And Hannah Wilder out in San Diego is asking where she could find the email link.
That's in the links on the links page that we just view. It'll be there. It's there.
Okay. And Nora, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your last name. She's new and she's not familiar with the acronym TREC. So could you just
Long and proud, Nora. The Committee for the Reimagined
And see, all of this is why I really have to say, to go and play and practice with this stuff ahead of time. It's something I learned the hard way, and now it's really just writing time in my calendar to do it and actually doing it, but it's worth it.
There's also a few other things that I want to point out that may be of interest to various people here. One of them is the fact that NAES, the National Association for Episcopal Schools, is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. And that will be they will be in the exhibit hall. And probably many of you are aware that Episcopal Relief and Development is celebrating its 75th year. Episcopal Migration Ministries is celebrating its 75th year. So we have a lot of anniversaries going on, and these are all going to be represented in the exhibit hall. If there is an interest in your congregation or in your diocese, make sure someone who's out there knows and maybe can get some photos and send back to you. Maybe you just want to find out more about the anniversaries. Those are among the significant things that are going to be happening.
Okay, any other questions? Beth reminds us to tag everything with the hashtag GC78 so that people can find what we're doing on Twitter. And Leanne Walling is reminding us that deputies will not be able to put any apps on their iPads. I think, as Neva mentioned, it's very limited how those can be used.
If they are rented, you're going to get it for the information that has to do with General Convention. Now, keep in mind also that you can't, just a deputy or an alternate or bishop just can't walk away with it.
Right.
It is expected to give afterwards. They are rented, and I think General Convention office will be tagging them to try to get them back.
Exactly. And then, yes, Carolyn, thank you, that the Society of St. John the Evangelist will be doing their hashtag prayers of initiative, and I think they sent something out this morning about that. And Lally, all of the links in this chat will be included in, if they're not already on that final slide, we will have a PDF of just a resource list that we will have, if not all of them, most of them. And the beauty of publishing things online is we can update it. If we've missed something, bring it to our attention and we can add it to that.
Yeah, I also wanted to point out that the SSJE, that their information about the prayer wall and what they can be doing was also included in the presiders and preachers release.
Oh, good.
There as well. Leanne's talking about Episcopal Resurrection. I believe that is a movement, and yes, bishops and deputies have signed on. I think that will probably be discussed at General Convention, but I really don't know in what context. TREC is going to be a big part of this convention, whether it is TREC per se, or if it's just a discussion about reorganization and restructuring. Yes, they're going to have 9 resolutions of their own, and I understand there are other organizations who are also going to have their resolutions. And then there are resolutions that have already been submitted. So there'll be a lot of resolutions to go through. Exactly right.
We're getting close to the close of time. Any final questions? Thank you all. I'm so thrilled just to see the collaboration that's already taking place just among ourselves on this webinar. And you know, again, I know from experience that everyone recognizes how huge this all is, and people are so helpful and so giving in terms of sharing and collaboration. And again, please turn to Neva, turn to Lisa, turn to Kay. They will be invaluable to you, as will be the Media Hub.
Lisa's on. Lisa, would you there she is. There's Lisa Webb, if you can see her. So there was a face along with the name.
And Lally, I see your question about media credentials. Yes, please be in touch with Neva. Well,
Thank you so much.
okay.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you and spend time with you. I look forward to our party in Salt Lake City.
Mhm.
And if you have any questions, be sure to give us, a call or an email. Thank you.
And again,
Thank you, ECF, for allowing us to do this.
We're happy to. Brendan, your final close for us?
Yes, again, thank you, Neva and Nancy, for putting this together this afternoon. We hope all of you who are attending this afternoon found this helpful for your ministries. You will be receiving shortly in your inboxes in another 4 or 5 minutes a link to a survey. Please take a couple of minutes to fill this out, click on that link to give us some feedback. We'll be sharing this with Neva to be able to help us build up further resources and other webinars. This is so essential, as many of you know, in communications positions, to be able to get this sort of feedback. So again, we thank you for taking an hour of your time this afternoon. I know we'll be hanging around just a couple more minutes to answer any other questions that you have. But please take a moment to click on that survey to provide us some feedback. Everyone who's registered for this webinar will be receiving a link to the recording of this webinar, along with the slides as well. If you want to download this right now, they're currently in the box called Files, which is at the bottom of the screen, just to the left side of the chat box. But we'll also be sending that to all participants. Thank you again for attending, and God bless and Godspeed in your ministries. We'll hopefully see a bunch of you at General Convention this summer.
Or virtually. Thank you.
Virtually,
Bye-bye.
absolutely. Bye, everybody. Thank you.